The World's End. The World's End is a science fiction comedy that reteams Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, the two who previously brought us Shaun of the Dead and Hot Buzz. This time, it's a movie about a group of men about my age and pushing 40 or already a little bit over 40 who 20 years ago went on a supposedly legendary pub crawl. 12 bars, 12 pints of European beer, stronger than American beer, and they never made it to the last bar called the World's End. 20 years later, they're back. They're going to try it one more time, and on the way, something science fictiony happens, and they believe that the only way to make it through the night is to make it to the last bar, the World's End, and then go home. Uh, their reasoning on this is actually altered by the fact that they're about halfway through the pub crawl when this happens. So their reasoning is drunk reasoning. Okay, so your hero is Simon Pegg. Simon Pegg plays a guy by the name of Gary King. And in fact, everyone on the pub crawl has a royalty name. They're King, Knightley, Chamberlain, Prince, and Page. Um, and Gary King is the only one. He used to be the leader of the group, but he's the one who never grew up. He is kind of a shallow douchebag, but he's also a complete and total failure. He hasn't changed in 20 years. He hasn't grown up. He hasn't moved on. He literally hasn't accomplished anything. He's no longer the king. And every single one of his friends has moved on to varying degrees of success. No one is as dismal as Gary. And Simon Pegg actually delivers probably his best acting performance that I've ever seen. By the end of the movie, I was convinced that if you drop Simon Pegg in the middle of a serious drama, as an actor, he wouldn't be lost. Neither would Nick Frost. I wasn't expecting that. I was honestly expecting Martin Freeman to be the best pure actor in the movie, and I think both Simon Pegg and Nick Frost bring it to the same level that you're used to seeing from Martin Freeman on Sherlock. Very surprised and very pleased to see that. So along the way, the rest of his buddies, I mentioned Martin Freeman and Nick Frost. There's a guy named Paddy Constantine and Eddie Marsan. I'm not familiar with those actors. Maybe if I was British, I would be. And they're his allies along the way. They're his friends, and as I said, they've all moved on, and they don't actually want to be there. They have no need to finish this pub crawl because they've grown up and moved past it. Um, it's kind of interesting to see the way they deal not just with Simon Pegg but with each other. It's a reunion that they wanted, but they could have done it without the beer. The only one who wanted to go drinking is Simon Pegg. Um, and it's a little spoilery to tell you what obstacles they have to face, but if you've seen the commercials, you know it's sort of robot-y. Although they actually have quite a bit of fun with the word robot in the movie. It's a little more going on than what you see in the ads. Okay, so and there's no one definitive villain, although I would say the personification in the villain in the film would have to be Pierce Brosnan. I didn't even know he was in this movie. He's okay. He doesn't have quite as much to do acting wise as any of the main characters. Um, then for a mentor, really every character other than Simon Pegg is a mentor because they're all the adults. and they're the ones who are to some degree thinking. Simon Pegg is just reacting. In a lot of ways, that's actually what a hero was supposed to do, but here it's taken to extremes. Um, the upside of the movie is it's very, very funny. It is a lot emotionally deeper than I thought it was going to be, but that payoff is much, much towards the end. Um, the plot, what is actually happening, is I won't say it's generic, but it's not as imaginative as what I would have hoped. It's not bad, but it's not brilliant. It's the premise of the movie isn't as out there as say Shaun of the Dead, but there's more going on than say Hot Fuzz. So I would put this movie right in the middle. Um, and the downside is this movie is a very slow starter. You are way into this movie before any of the supernatural stuff starts happening. I was a little taken aback by how long it took to get this movie going. Not that it isn't funny, the comedy starts right away, but the sci-fi stuff is pretty far into the movie, like really far into the movie. In the end, I had a great time watching it, and it was more than I was expecting it to be. I gotta give this movie 4 stars. It's not perfect, but it is so much better than being merely good. 4 stars for The World's End.